Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where real estate meets real life skills. Hosted by Andrea Lane and Alyssa Bicar, each episode features investors turning their unique edge into long-term rental success.
Hello and welcome to the Built for This podcast. I'm your co-host, Alyssa Bicar, here with Andrea Lane, the fearless real estate investor. Together, we interview real estate investors about how they bring themselves to their business and what success they've had in the grand world of real estate. Andrea, over to you.
Great. So I would like to introduce you today to my very good friend, Laura Hollis. She has been in real estate for a while. She's done a couple of deals that were really good, and then she's had a problem with a property that she bought, thinking she was going to do one thing and had a pivot. So I'm looking forward to hearing Lori's story. So, Lori, why did you get into real estate? What made you think it was good for you?
Well, initially I was still working a W-2 job, and during that, I guess some years in that job, I kind of got the feeling that those of us who were at the higher end of the pay scale were going to be booted out at some point. So I was looking for other avenues to just look around and see what was out there. I've always had a love for real estate. I've always liked looking at houses. I've always been in that market, even for myself, for my own ownership. And so I migrated over to see what that was all about. And I took some classes, and I really learned a lot. And I was ready to get started by the time I talked to some people that were in the field. So.
Great. And what do you love most about real estate?
I like the freedom to make my own schedule, to build my own teams. I never had that opportunity before. So this has just been eye-opening for me in how I can manage it the way I want, and I can do whatever. I never had that, and I worked in healthcare, and I never had that in healthcare. I was required to be there on a schedule. I was required to be my very best for patients all the time. And this was just an opportunity to do it my way, so to speak. So yeah.
Many people love the freedom, right? Being your own boss. It's not like you
Right.
do anything, but you can decide what to do and when you want to do it. And that's pretty exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
And the fact that you were in healthcare and that you were in a completely different structure, how do you feel like your professional and your personal skills translated into your real estate investment initiative?
Well, I worked as a lead person, and I certainly had some time in management in healthcare. And so I think it translates very easily. I manage teams, and so that it hasn't been hard for me to move over to that. That doesn't mean that somebody in real estate needs management background. It certainly helped me, but I just think that that was easily a transferable skill. I can work with people very easily. So
Yeah.
So can you open that up a little bit for us? Like where did you see your management skill really have to turn on and turn up the juice?
Well, I think that has to do with scheduling my time, scheduling the time of others, and to make sure that people get positive feedback for the work that they do. My management style was always very encouraging to people. And so I have teams right now that love working for me. I mean, they call me up and say, "Do you have anything else?" So I just think, and it all depends on your management style. Mine was always very encouraging to people. The people in the healthcare that I worked with, they loved working with me. And that's not, I'm not, we didn't like working with everybody in management, but, most of the people I was approachable. I think those are qualities that you need in order to build teams and work with teams. So,
Yeah. I'm like,
I
it
love
sounds
it.
like I want to hear like a real estate story about a deal that you did where this like positive reinforcement helped to do like accomplish the impossible, you know? So can you share with us like a place where that kind of showed up for you real time?
well, probably one of the greatest memories I have, even from my very first rental that I bought, and I tend to buy and hold rentals rather than to flip. But this happened actually in two of my rentals, and it's probably the best story that I can tell. But both of these houses looked awful on the outside, awful. I mean, like the neighborhood eyesore. And so I have a good exterior contractor. And so he put both of these houses together in a very, very nice way. Of course, it was my design and everything, but like he did a fine job. And I had neighbors approaching me. It's like, thank you so much for fixing our neighborhood, for making the place look nice again. You know, it helps them with their property values and for those who own there, and even the ones who are renting, they're just like, oh my gosh, this place was an eyesore. And in both cases, both of them wanted to do a little bit of what was done to these houses with their house. Like one of them, I put a porch on there, and they're like, oh, who's the guy that did the porch? So um, so those are fun for me. The first one that I did, I actually hired a neighbor to build a retaining wall because he did that kind of work, and he came over and he had his business card, and I'm like, sure, you know, who's better to work on your neighborhood when they're seeing it improve than somebody who lives there and wants it to look good. So I hired him. So
I love that creating economy and community by having this really goodwill vibe about your projects.
yeah, I really enjoy that part of it. So I like to look for houses that look bad on the outside for that reason, because you don't always get to see the inside unless you take somebody for a tour. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great since real estate is all about people, not really about properties. You're in the right
yeah,
business.
not so, yeah, exactly.
So what do you think gives you like an unfair advantage, something that gives you a unique edge in your real estate business?
Oh gosh. Well, in healthcare, we're required, I worked in a blood bank. And that's kind of like we have to be able to think on our feet, move fast, pivot, as Andrea alluded to earlier. Um, we're there to help somebody, usually many times in a crisis. Sometimes it's just routine work where we're just supporting them in a hospital bed, but many times, it's somebody with a traumatic injury, that kind of thing, and we're required to be quick and to be supportive. And I think in real estate that translates to being able to pivot for things to go wrong, for things to not not come out quite like we anticipated, but at the same time to realize that it's not a perfect world. Things happen, and we can easily move to what's best for the property, for the neighborhood, for everything, everyone, and everything involved. So sometimes we get scheduling mishaps. Sometimes it's monetary. It really doesn't matter what it is. I think I'm used to being kind of like a superhero in healthcare, and I try to put on that same cape, if you will, in real estate. So
You know
That,
what? I love that. And it keeps you agile. Like you have to be like, Andrea, wouldn't you agree? Like you have to stay on your toes in this business.
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So lately, what's been your biggest challenge or struggle? Is it finding deals, money?
Hmm. I've probably moved through several of those. Finding money was a struggle. I don't think I have that anymore. Because I have a network of people that I can talk to and count on for that. I also have a huge number of friends, so that's helpful too. But I did start out using my own money, and um, at some point, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you have a little money, medium or large amount of money to start with, at some point you run out. So, it doesn't matter where you start. So I think building a network is very important for that aspect of it. I've had other challenges too. Um, as Andrea mentioned earlier, I had one where I was trying to scale. I was trying to go into another area, and I had two projects going on at the same time. One worked out great. That was the one with the port. Um, but the other one, things happened and I had to pivot, and it just didn't go as well. And so I think many people will come across different challenges, whether it's one thing or another, and you just have to keep working at it, use your network, and um, work with people that can maybe offer suggestion there.
Yeah.
So I do know part of your story, right? And I know that you spent a lot of time, energy, and money trying to create an environment so that people, disabled veterans, had a place to live. And
Right.
well, along that way, tell us a little bit about the journey and what happened.
Okay. Well, I purchased a home. Well, before I did that, I started out learning for about a year. I took some extra classes on how to set up a nonprofit, how to work through setting up a home for veterans and all that. So I did not purchase the house until after about a year of study, learning how to do it. And so I was very excited when I found this house, and I felt like it was the right timing for me to make a purchase on this house. It was a beautiful house, great neighborhood. It had 5 bedrooms in it and 3 bathrooms. And so to be able to house people together as veterans was very exciting. So I had gone through all the work to set up a nonprofit, to um, follow the instructions that I received over a year's worth of training, etc. And then, as it turned out, we had been advised not to buy a house that was in a HOA, homeowners association. And so I made sure of that. I checked all the paperwork. I made sure we weren't going to make a purchase that was wrong there. It turns out that the sellers did not disclose that it was in an HOA. So the way I found out was I got a bill from the HOA. So I had already purchased the house. I had already moved furniture in. I had already done a rehab on that house. Um, so it just went sideways. And so there really wasn't a whole lot I could do.
So if you had actually gotten from the seller, since you knew what you were going to do from the house perspective, what their bills were and got an itemized account, you probably would have caught it. But because you didn't do that and you didn't disclose it by saying it's in an HOA, you sort of got into the situation that you had to deal with, right?
Right. And I did try to pivot. I approached the HOA president and I asked if I could come make a presentation about veterans and everything to their board. And I was shut down immediately, and they just said, no, you can't open. So,
There's a specific issue with having a multi-person house, shared housing in neighborhoods. So you have to
right.
be really cautious when you're doing it. So lesson learned, if you
Yeah.
do it again, you're going to make sure A, it's not an HOA, and B, your neighbors aren't going to yell you out of the neighborhood.
And the title company didn't catch it. So they're supposed to look at that. And they didn't catch it. So
Yeah.
so it was kind of just multiple errors that occurred there. Um, but all's well, it's
Yep.
gonna turn out okay. It's not gonna keep me from doing real estate going forward. So
I
Great.
mean, that
We
that
love
speaks to your agility and your ability to make lemons out of lemonade out of lemons, and turn your experience and say, okay, well, we do next? And I think that's really important, that it is your unique and unfair advantage that this is like, okay, well, what next? And
Yeah.
so many people out there in business get kind of stymied when we hit these massive roadblocks. So good on you for continuing. So besides this finer tooth comb underwriting and preparation before purchase, can you share a recent win, lesson, or story from your investing journey?
oh goodness. Well, recently, I've just been back in the market again, just looking again. So uh, I've been out there meeting people. I feel like I took a little bit of a pause there after I had to pivot. So certainly I've stayed plugged in. I've stayed plugged into a group that I have with YouTube, and that's a big win for me because during a time of pivot and kind of not knowing where to go next, I think that's probably my greatest um, win for now is to just stay plugged in, stay networking. Opportunities come to you in that way. So that's my biggest win lately.
Right.
Great. So as we wrap up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the next 6 to 12 months?
So my plan is to get back out there in the market. So the latest project that I had was those two projects, and it's been more than a year for me to make that pivot. So I'm out in the market again, looking at properties. I don't have one in particular. I had one I was zoning in on, but it did not work out. Numbers did not work out for a good buy and hold opportunity. So it might have done okay as a flip. But I don't know. I had my questions there. But it was a cool property. So I love walking properties. There's a gal here in town um that's all she does is property walks. So I may join her group and just go on property walks and see what I can learn there.
Great. So thank you so much, Lori, for your time. We really appreciate that you took time out of your day to do this with us, um, and for sharing some of your insights, your tips, and your experiences, which are not normal. People don't always get into a situation with HOAs, but if people want to connect with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh gosh, well, I have an email address, or I can, if somebody would email me, I
Just
can
give your
provide my
email.
phone number. Pardon me?
Give your email.
My email address is HPS, the word imagined, IMAGINED @gmail.com. It
Great.
stands for Home and Property Solutions, so it's HPS imagined @gmail.com.
Great. Thank you so much. We really appreciated it.
And for those of you
Thank you.
listening to the broadcast, stay tuned. We have another exciting episode queued right here. So don't go away.
Thank you for having me.
This wraps another episode of Built for This. If you're a real estate investor with a unique edge, apply to join us at builtforthisshow.com/guest.